There's no argument that Tom Cruise is one of the biggest movie stars on the planet, a status that he's impressively held since the 1980s. Two of his cinematic offerings, 2023 Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 and 2022 Top Gun Maverick, brought in a combined $2 billion at the box office. Of course, everyone knows that when Hollywood studios hire Cruise, they're getting the rare combination of actor and stuntman, due to his famed propensity for performing his own over-the-top and often life-threatening stunts. This is stars who can't stand Tom Cruise. Brad Pitt. When it comes to movie stardom, Brad Pitt is certainly no slouch. Pitt and Tom Cruise have worked together just once, and famously so when they co-starred in the 1994 movie adaptation of Anne Rice's best-selling horror novel, Interview with the Vampire. Despite the star power displayed in Pitt playing Louis de Pointe du Lac opposite Cruise as charismatic vampire Lestat de Lioncourt, reviews for the film were decidedly mixed. Meanwhile, Pitt hinted at friction between himself and Cruise while promoting the film. Pitt said, "You gotta understand, Tom and I we walk in different directions." There was this underlying competition that got in the way of any real conversation. It wasn't nasty by any means, not at all, but it was just there, and it bugged me a bit. Pitt shared similar sentiments about Cruise when he spoke with Rolling Stone. "I like the guy. I honestly like the guy, but at a point I started really resenting him." According to an anonymous source, their dislike for each other has not dissipated over the decades. There's a reason they haven't worked together in 30 years. They clashed so badly when they shot Interview with the Vampire. Neither of them has ever been able to move past it. They play it down publicly, but it's no secret they can't stand each other. John Travolta. Like Tom Cruise, John Travolta has been a longtime member of the Church of Scientology, the controversial religion founded by science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard. While members of the secretive sect are instructed to share little about the inner workings of the church, those who've defected from Scientology have had a lot to say. For example, Brandon Teig, who once served as the church's head of security, claimed that Travolta has deep resentments about Cruise's tight relationship with church leader David Miscavige and all the church-related perks Cruise receives that he doesn't. Teig revealed when interviewed by Australia's New Idea magazine, Cruise is the only celeb with a direct line to Miscavige. Travolta didn't have that. Travolta doesn't get anything free. No one is giving him absurd gifts like an airplane hangar, custom-made bikes, or over-the-top favors. What makes the alleged rivalry all the more bitter is the fact that Travolta, who'd been a major star long before Cruise's Hollywood ascent, had once been Miscavige's most favored celebrity adherent before Cruise arrived on the scene. Brooke Shields. Tom Cruise made headlines back in 2005 when he dropped by NBC's Today Show to promote his new movie War of the Worlds. During one part of the conversation, he discussed his views on psychiatry, which had been vilified by the Church of Scientology. "I've never agreed with psychiatry," Cruise told then-anchor Matt Lauer. He then proceeded to comment on Brooke Shields, who had publicly discussed her struggles with postpartum depression and how she'd benefited from being prescribed antidepressants. "There is no such thing as a chemical imbalance," Cruise declared. "The thing that I'm saying about Brooke is that there's misinformation. She doesn't understand the history of psychiatry." Shields pushed back by writing an op-ed for the New York Times that responded to his anti-psychiatry tirade. "I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but after Tom Cruise's interview with Matt Lauer on the NBC show Today last week, I feel compelled to speak not just for myself but also for the hundreds of thousands of women who have suffered from postpartum depression," Shields wrote. While Cruise says that Mr. Lauer and I do not understand the history of psychiatry, I'm going to take a wild guess and say that Mr. Cruise has never suffered from postpartum depression. Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke has rarely been shy about expressing his opinions, and he once offered up a doozy about Tom Cruise. While appearing on Piers Morgan Uncensored, the 9.5-week star was asked what his thoughts were on Cruise's Top Gun sequel grossing more than $1 billion at the box office, more than 3 decades after the first film came out. Rourke bluntly declared, "That doesn't mean sucks to me," before taking a shot at Cruise's lack of versatility as an actor. "The guy's been doing the same effing part for 35 years, you know. I got no respect for that." As he continued, Rourke further shaded Cruise by insisting that he had no interest in the big money and immense power that appeared to motivate Cruise. He then proceeded to list actors whom he did respect, a roster that included the likes of Al Pacino, Ray Winstone, Christopher Walken, and Robert De Niro. Rourke declared, "That's the kind of actor I want to be," host Piers Morgan then asked point blank if he believed that Cruise wasn't a good actor. "I think he's irrelevant in my world." Leah Remini. Leah Remini was once one of the most famous celebrity Scientologists, until leaving the church in 2013. Ever since, the former King of Queens star has been on an anti-Scientology crusade, crystallized in her A&E TV series Leah Remini Scientology and the Aftermath. Part of that crusade has been to publicly go after Tom Cruise, the most famous Scientologist of all. In a Scorched Earth interview in 2015, she explained how members of the church are taught to view any criticism of Cruise as an attack on the church itself. She said, "Being critical of Tom Cruise is being critical of Scientology itself. You are evil." Beyond that, Remini also claimed that Cruise is fully aware of the alleged abuses taking place within the church, which makes him culpable. She tweeted, "Tom Cruise knows exactly what goes on in Scientology. Don't let the movie star charm fool you." Appearing on Larry King Now, Remini revealed that Cruise is likewise not a fan of her. When the show's host, late TV personality Larry King asked Remini what she thought Cruise would say to her in response to her criticism of the church, she responded, "He wouldn't say anything to me because he thinks I'm the devil." Mark Wahlberg. In interviews, Tom Cruise has been known to boast about all the stunts he's done, from scaling a skyscraper to flying in actual fighter jets in Top Gun and its sequel. In 2013, Cruise gave a deposition for a lawsuit, in which he was questioned about his lawyer, stating that Cruise being away from daughter Suri while making movies was similar to the situation of a soldier who'd been sent to Afghanistan. Cruise said, "I didn't hear the Afghanistan, but that's what it feels like, and certainly on this last movie it was brutal." While Cruise has indeed been known to train hard for his films, fellow actor Mark Wahlberg dismissed the notion that movie stars endure anything close to what actual soldiers experience. Wahlberg declared, "For actors to sit there and talk about, 'I went to SEAL training. I don't give a fuck what you did,' without referencing Cruise by name, while appearing on a 2013 panel promoting his military-themed movie Lone Survivor. For somebody to sit there and say, 'My job is as difficult as somebody in the military,' how fucking dare you? While you sit in a makeup chair for 2 hours, you get to go home at the end of the day, you get to go to your hotel room,